got a little checklist I wanted to
Okay, cool.
discuss.
Okay.
Let me see if I can find it. Cause like like I've been in this situation for 16 years, and I actually reached out to the UN. Like I reached out and I spoke to a lady named Karen Shara or something like that. I think I left her a message and she called me back, but she wasn't trying to do anything for me. And when I called the New York branch of it,
This is the United Nations?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I called the New York branch and I spoke to a gentleman, and he wasn't trying to help me either. He actually hung the phone up on me, and it's it's kind of like, you know, um, nobody's really trying to help me, and it's like, um, it's not like people are trying to really seek the truth, because like when I speak the truth kind of gets contaminated.
Okay.
It kind of gets contaminated. It's kind of like they have a predetermined outcome on how they want things to end, and it's not in my favor. So even if I speak the truth that um, proves my innocence and vindicate me, it the response I get is everything you say, we're gonna corrupt that so we can keep you where you at.
So I want to just understand, when you say they, are you talking about like when you talk to the UN people or?
But everywhere from the UN, like when I used to reach out to the FBI in 2014, they would stay on the phone and listen, but they, current time, I reached out to them like a year ago and recently, and they hang the phone up on me. Um,
Can I ask what you were asking of them, or were you just
I want them to intervene with the medication because, you know, it's making me sick. Like I got kidney issues, I got liver issues, high blood pressure. Like if I laugh for too long, my chest will start hurting. Like it's,
mm-hmm.
This medicine is, if they don't take me off of it and, and change my circumstances as far as how things are being facilitated currently, just as far as everything they do regarding this situation, that itself is going to be fatal because of the stress it entails, and um, because like the stress is enormous. Like, like anything I try to do for myself, like if I play my video game, which is a basketball game, and I get online, all the avatars, which is people who are playing the same game and it's like on a network.
Right.
Their names of their avatars is triggers. If I listen to music, that's triggers. Movies, television shows, all of those are triggers. Um, it's everything's a trigger, and it's not something where I'm engaging these people. These people are coming into my world and my life, and
so these people being
just, what do you mean?
Well, when you say these people, and some of these questions I'm asking you we've talked about it a little bit before, but because you're recording and you want stuff on a recording, want to make sure that it's clear. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when you say these people, you're talking about
don't quite fully understand, because when I say these people, I know the government role, I know the celebrity role, but as far as the community role, I don't know how and why that's even necessary, because you know um, if I get on like YouTube it seems like people are in my head on YouTube, and I don't understand the whole process of how, the recording process to live streaming and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what connection they could have to where they can be involved in my circumstances, and like there's a rapper named Meek Mill. He got a song talking about they controlling everything you see, and maybe that's the reason why people on YouTube are able to do what they do. Like, they controlling everything you see from the televisions, you know, um, and it's a play like on an old song that he sampled from another artist, but he used it and modernized it and kind of made his own song. And he's like, they controlling everything you see, meaning like from television, like just everything. And it's it's stressful, because it's not like they're saying positive things,
Mm-hmm.
like is a lot of times the things they say are offensive. It's like, people trolling, that really have nothing to do with your situation. Like, I don't understand why these protocols are in play. Like, back, I say about 2008-ish maybe, or before or after, you know, well, at least, oh, it definitely after I was put on the medicine. It could have been 2006, 2007, but um, they would, they had a commercial, and the commercial was like technology when you need it, none when you don't, but I don't think that's even remotely true. Like, um, it seemed like it's running all the time. And I done had people say that they may block the names when, I think of a name, they may block the names. But like when I had a gym membership in Gloucester, I would go to the gym, and the lady that ran the gym, she was like, yeah, they don't say the names. I think she would like put it like this. This is what she said. She didn't necessarily say names. She was pretty much, and this is me paraphrasing what she said. She
Mm-hmm.
was like, they don't say the names, they but everyone knows who they're talking about. Like certain
Mm-hmm.
things are blocked, but everybody still knows who they're
Mm-hmm.
referring to. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's maybe for legal reasons, but you know, you can't, even then I think it's still illegal. I think, a lot of illegal stuff is going on that's not being challenged because the powers that be control the FBI, they control the CIA, they control the politicians, they control the record labels, and so that's why these things are not being challenged. And, you know, um, like, um, like for example, like when I was first put on this medicine in 2006, rappers came out with songs talking about basically we're sending feds to your town. You know, Lil Wayne did it, and T.I. did it, talking about we got your block blocked off, like we said. Um,
And you believe that those were speaking specifically to you?
of not to me of this situation because I wasn't doing nothing for the feds to arrest me, and like with T.I., for example, his song was called Top Back, and he said something about sending feds to the town. And then Lil Wayne came out with a song called Cash Money, do N word, and he's talking about got the block locked off, like they were sending the feds, and they won't sending the feds to me. I even had a neighbor come to me was like telling me, and this was when I first started taking medicine. He was like, yeah, the FBI is at your job, which was at a hotel, and a Five Diamond hotel. He was like, they're at your job, and I went to work, and I think he was even referring to me like, like I'm some kind of officer, and you know, and it's kind of like when he said the feds, I think he was trying to warn me, that, you know, that I was the Fed. Not that the feds were coming for me, that this medicine was done on a federal level. And I didn't know what kind of medicine I was on, so I didn't pay it much mind.
So it's only been kind of after the fact that you've gone back in your mind and you're
and like even when I was at the
thinking
hotel,
this might be the
like
case.
even when I was at the hotel, like the hotel used to have like senators, a lot of people were coming here, and like so when I went to work, you know, I ran across these people, and I could tell they were staying at the hotel. I could tell it was government, you know, just by the way they carried themselves. And they loaded a rifle into the hotel shuttle van, and I've never seen that done before. You know, if they and that should have been illegal, but I was like, you know what? I'm minding my business.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
you
right.
know,
The
you
people,
know,
you know, with more authority here than I am.
yeah, you know.
So
And I don't know what that was about. Like, and it kind of scared me in a sense. Like, I think I was telling you before, like how I figured out I was on the medicine was because when I went to that same job, you know, and things had transpired, and I was scared, fearful, and I was like, well, I got a fruit in the car. I want to go get it, but I'm afraid to. I don't want to raise any suspicion. So I stayed at the bell stand with a valet stand, and next thing I know, a coworker walked by holding a banana, and then that was like the first thing that kind of started making had my gears rolling. I'm like, you know, everything I would think, all of a sudden I would see.
you would see around you, and you were like,
then I would say it was probably 2 weeks of that, maybe 3, and then I figured out what kind of medicine I was on, you know, and I was like, take me off of it, and been stuck on it ever since, you know, and but back to the celebrities like T.I. and Wayne, you know, they talk about how they send like feds to the town to arrest people, not myself. You know, they weren't talking about arresting me, but as if they did this to me because they was trying to get me to get someone in my town caught up. For one, I don't know anybody in my town, you know, like that. I'm not involved in anything like that with anyone in my town. And the funny thing about it, they are the only ones that got arrested since I've been in this situation. Like Lil Wayne went to jail, T.I. went to jail like twice, Jeezy went to jail, well, he got a DUI, something like that. You know, they're the only ones getting arrested. So the funny thing about that is, if there was someone in my town that was doing things on a federal offense level, like felonies, you know, I suspect those people are pillars of the community. So they're going to be protected by law enforcement, while these rappers are not. And when they go to jail, it builds their street cred and make them sell more records. So it's funny how that dynamic played out, because I'm like, you know, y'all talking about y'all sending feds after people, but y'all the only ones going to jail. You know, and the people y'all send them after are pillars of the community, you know, and they'll never get arrested. You know, and it just goes to show you that personally, I feel like it's a divide and conquer thing, and you know, they're all working together, you know, and you know, like me being in this situation, I'm suffering from their lies and their secrets, you know, and their propaganda, you know, they got a lot of propaganda. And like you look at shows on TV, like what's the black lady on MSNBC, Joy something. Let me see.
yeah, I know who you're talking about, but I don't watch cable news.
Yeah, let me see. I want to know her name because it's an important point. Joy Reid.
Okay.
And She's on MSNBC, and they on this wokeness, this Black Lives Matter. Um, what's the word I'm looking for? Like they pushing Black Lives Matter, and with that being said, Black lives do matter, but they push it with kind of like hate. I wouldn't say hatred, like villainizing the white man, and it's own the network is owned by a white man. So I feel like the all white boy, and this is not being racist, this is just fact. I feel like the all white boys club who's been running this country for hundreds of years, I feel like they took a back seat and gave this country to black people and women, and that's who's running this country now. And it started after Bush, it's like, and really it's just a distraction. It's really, they're still calling the shots, but they're kind of letting people think that America's changed, and like, I really think if they had never put me on this medicine, then they would still be the face of this country. But they want the world to see them in a different light because everyone's watching. So they trying to act like, let's give women equality, let's give blacks equality, people of color equality. But it's not real. It's not something that's gonna be, it's, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not um, something that's gonna last. It's more just a moment. It's, blacks are having their moment, women are having their moment. And it's even goes as far as like music labels. They actually are pushing more women artists than they are males right now. And it really lacks substance. It's something that's, it's like someone hitting a lottery. It's like, if you didn't work for that money, it's gone just as quick as you get it. And I'm not saying blacks are not working hard. I'm saying, it's not, what's the word?
Sustainable.
Sustainable, yeah. It's not sustainable. I feel like it's something that's just a fad, and it's gonna be over before you know it. And everyone's eating it up. And this whole black excellence, it's a distraction because I'm like, look at what's going on with me and what people are doing to me and my family. And this is the time blacks are being excellent. Not to say we was never excellent before, but everyone's excellent. Blacks are excellent. Blacks done a lot, achieved a lot, under, our oppressors, and being oppressed, we still, some of us still graduated college, that's, that's good, and it's, I think they dropped their eye off the ball. Like their focus should kind of be on me. But the All White Boys Club is entertaining them with ambition and wokeness when you should have that ambition anyway. You should have that wokeness anyway. But the way they're entertaining them with it is not going to be sustainable, and it's not going to last. I feel like Obama gave people hope, and that's what started the black excellence, Obama administration. But as soon as that uplifted the black community, Trump came in office and undid everything Obama did. And that kind of shows you that it's not sustainable. It's kind of like, how they say the Lord give it, the Lord can take it away. And I feel like at this moment, blacks are capitalizing when not just blacks, just everyone in general is really capitalizing off of my suffering, you know, and blacks of being bargained with, you know, like the black elite probably feel like if we have to sacrifice Terrell to achieve greatness for
To
black
do
people
so.
overall, it's worth it.
You think the black elite is,
Puppets. That's what I
well,
think.
I was going to say that they're aware of you.
Yeah, like, you know, Al Sharpton, you know, Jesse Jackson, you know, like Jesse Jackson said something like, you know, he said he was referring to Obama, but I think he said Obama name, but I think he's referring to me. He's like, yeah, he's very smart. And the way he's talking about black people, he should be castrated. You know,
Mm.
that's what Jesse Jackson said, you know.
And you
And
think he was talking about
I
you?
think he was talking about me, you know, and because nobody used my name, you know. And we talked about that before too with Breonna Taylor and say her name,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And that's another issue I have, like the reference points, you know, like I'm kind of like, where are these reference points coming from? Because, you know, a lot of things being done, the reference point don't represent me. You know, it does not represent me in any way, shape, or form. You know, they use people, place, and things, and I can in some way identify from the lies that are being told to me and identify with what they're conveying. But at the end of the day, it doesn't represent me, you know. And like for example, proof. Like when I first saw, um, I was watching BET and they came out with something. Bush Screws America was an episode. Then it was 100% proof. Like they wanted me to have 100% proof. And then it was World War Me. And instead of saying World War Three, they played off of that and said World War Me.
Mm-hmm.
Me. You know, and that was only aired on my TV. And and how I know that because when I was seeing the crazy stuff on my TV, it was on BET, and I called a family member who used to watch the same things I would look at, which was
Mm-hmm.
106 in Park. And mind you, I'm not even knowing at the time what kind of medicine I'm on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I called a family member, and we was on the phone talking like, "You looking at 106 in Park?" And I heard it in the background, and that's why I
Mm-hmm.
asked. I was like, "You're like, yeah, I'm looking at 106 in Park," and we both had it on BET, but something entirely different was on my TV. It wasn't 106 in Park, you know, and you know, and see that kind of upsets me because current day proof is dead, along with all the other people deaths they done faked, and I'm still in this situation, and everybody think I'm clueless to what's going on, or maybe they think I know too much. Whatever the case may be, you know, it's like, well, I don't know which one it is in the sense of I know what I know, but what I know could be entirely different from what someone else knows.
Mm-hmm.
And the best way to handle something like that is for us to put our heads together and have a conversation about it. But people are separated from me, I'm separated from them, and then we're never.
Separated. Who are you separated from, or who are you thinking of as,
I'm,
especially when you're saying that?
I'm separated from the truth or the government's truth. I don't know what the government is telling people why I'm on this medicine. I don't know why they, you know, like their reason for having me on this medicine. I don't know what they're telling people. You know, maybe they're telling people that Al Qaeda got me on this medicine, you know, and terrorists got me on this medicine. But, you know, the funny thing about that, there's a documentary called Monopoly on Violence that I was looking at on TV. And the media don't talk about this, but they said Al Qaeda, that Obama, when he was president, actually funded Al Qaeda in Syria to fight Iranian militias. You know, so they're not going to cover that. You know, I don't see how someone can run plays into our building and then you fund them fighting Syria. You know, and they probably did it to where it was plausible deniability, but the source of the money was U.S. money. But and these are scholars. These are not conspiracy theorists that are saying these things. These are actual scholars that are saying these things. Conspiracy theorists say all kinds of stuff. Like the royals of England are reptilians and crazy stuff like that.
Right.
So
And that's not even the craziest stuff that they
you'd have heard,
yeah.
them to say, So I don't really feed into that, but you.
I just had a question. You were talking about the government, what their reasons are for having you on the medical, what they're telling people. And I don't want to disrupt. I know you've got points that you want to cover, but it made me remember that you were going to be seeing your psychiatrist between last time and this time, and I was like, I want to just make a mental note to ask how that went.
It was
you had conversations with him about.
I saw him yesterday, and that was our last visit, telehealth, because he actually is retiring, and he has a replacement. Her name is Jacqueline, and she's gonna reach out to me. We're gonna do a telehealth probably in January or February. But So
did you talk about the medicine with him?
Yeah, I've talked about it. I don't go into detail with him about
Because I presume he's prescribing for you right now.
See, that's the funny thing about that. He prescribes it, but he actually told me himself. He was like, if they was gonna take you off of it, they would took you off it already, as if it was out of his control.
That was something that he said some time ago.
Yeah, I want to say around August he said that, and that's the thing. Like, I don't know what that. When he say things like that, it's like, who has me on this medicine? Because 16 years of this, something's not right about this. Whether it's a lie, whether it's a conspiracy, regardless, something's not right about that situation, because, 16 years of this, at what it's costing everyone, says that you're doing this because you got to.
So are you, I'm just remembering you mentioned at one of our earliest sessions that you, in terms of getting the medicine, is injection?
Yes.
Every couple of weeks?
Every 2 weeks.
And where do you go for that?
CBH.
Okay.
But you're doing this because you got to, not because you choose to. But that kind of go against what was told to me. We're gonna do this till you can't take it no more. There isn't a problem. That's the things that these people have said to me. So. And, I had no suspicion of terrorist groups being involved in this medicine when I was first put on it. I thought it, again, I was telling you before, I thought it was Chinese. And I don't know why, but, I always look at them as, the technology guys, creating and innovating technology, and I was like, sound like something Chinese people would make. The terrorist link to this medicine didn't come until I went to Eastern State. And a guy walked up to me and said, Bush and Bin Laden are trying to kill you. And
I'm interested, you've told that story before, and I'm just interested in the fact that that was
said to me.
Well, and that you're taking that as a truth, that you think that he's a source. People say all sorts of different things, and here this man is another patient at Eastern State, and so has got, who knows where his information, why he's thinking what he's thinking.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting that you've just that you're accepting that as a truth.
You know, the funny thing about that, like before I went to Eastern State is when the Viacom stuff on BET was aired, saying Bush screws America. Then I get, and I'm not knowing how he screwed America again. Like I'm clueless to what they're saying how he screwed America. You know how Bush screwed America, and then I get to the hospital, and then a patient says that to me, and then that same time around the same time, you know, an Indian doctor, in which, you know, he's Indian, but they share herb distinctions like facial features and characteristics. They Asian, but they look like, and they probably are herbs that migrated there. Who knows? I don't.
Well,
I don't know the
geographically,
history.
it's
In the same,
you know,
so
they're not that far apart. Those regions.
You know, it's funny they're Asian, but I don't look at them as Asian. I look at them more as herbs and Middle Eastern. You know, but you know, whatever there. And he said to me, his name was Dr. Patel, and he told me at the vending machine. He didn't say it to me. He said it to the guy that was in front of me, because I was trying to fight to get off this medicine, not physically fight, but I think I was telling you last week how I was thinking the shampoo and all this stuff, that there was a good and a bad element in the hospital, and some was trying to keep me on the medicine, and some was fighting for me. And these are all delusions and paranoia. And I'm thinking if I get a candy bar at the candy machine, it'll be evidence to a crime that was committed, which at the time I was thinking that, but it was just not true.
Okay.
But I was thinking that, and during the time I was thinking that, he said to the guy in front of me, he called the guy in front of me name and was like, "You do anything stupid, I'll blow your heart right out your chest." And that's see, people don't address me directly for legal reasons, and for legal reasons to have not be able to prove things beyond a reasonable doubt, you know, and that's the problem I've been having for 16 years. Everything I say is true, you know, to my knowledge of what concerns me and what has to do with me, you know, from rappers rapping about this in 2003, all this is fact. This is not an opinion, you know, it's fact. Like Jay-Z admitted, you know, from when he came out of retirement, his first album, he said in a song called Lost Ones, I believe, he said something of, "I'm guilty of it too, but not like them." You know, so that was the first album he came out with. And the one previous to that was the Black album, which was 2003. That's what he was referring to. When he said, "I'm guilty of it too, but not like them," he's referring to his 2003 Black album, which was about this situation. He even mentioned on a song, mind reading and everything, you know. And again, these things you can't prove beyond a reasonable doubt, you know, but I think the fact that the state of things and how it's undeniable that celebrities are making music about me, that's enough for conspiracy, you know. It's not like I'm saying something that's fictitious and there's no proof. Like if me and you was to go somewhere, and if I was to say, like I have a therapist, let's use that. Like you're my therapist. If I was to make an example with that out, what could I say? I don't know a good example of how I can kind of use a metaphor to make it make sense, but it's actually undeniable to where they can actually consider conspiracy, even though you can't prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. That used to be a thing with mobsters until they came out with the RICO law.
Right.
You know,
right.
so
right.
That was the thing where mobsters was getting away with crimes because they couldn't catch them red-handed. So they created the RICO law because they couldn't catch them red-handed. You know, so they should hit these people with the RICO law.
Right.
You know, but at the end of the day, these people are working on their behalf, so they're not going to do that. You know, but was you going to say something?
No, well, I was just going to say that in terms of the rappers and the things in the media that you're seeing, that you're saying, oh, that's about my life, I'm imagining there's lots of other people who could say, well, that seems like my life too. You know, the making the connection to you specifically, I'm imagining that would be really difficult.
And the best way to describe what you're trying to say is like R&B, like love songs. A lot of people can relate to some of these love songs, you know, prior to this situation. Like, you know, you can look at a song that came out in 2000. I'm sure there's a lot of young guys and girls that related to that song, you know, and it really wasn't about them. It was kind of more or less.
It was about some sort of universal, you know, or language, very like common experiences or universal dynamics.
Because usually the people that wrote the song experience it themselves, whether it's heartbreak, being cheated on, you know. So yes, I get that, but this here, oh no. You know, people know exactly who they're talking about when they make these songs, you know. And then see, the funny thing about that is, you know, it's a conflict of interest, you know, because on one end, you know, it seems like movie stars are making movies like Iron Man 1. You know, that was pretty much the Bush and Bin Laden relationship, you know, where the guy with Tony Stark, who was Iron Man, played by Robert Downey Jr., his partner was giving weapons to the enemy, and that's how Tony Stark became Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, that's what actually started this Marvel stuff and made it what it was. That was like one of the biggest things. Not that scene or the storyline made Marvel possible, but Iron Man made this whole Marvel universe possible, you know. And you know, so the movies and the music, it's kind of like, I don't see how that's not obstruction. And you know, and then the US actually taxed these movies. Like, it's a real conflict of interest, you know, for the people telling on you, and really is a part of the crime, the cover up, the conspiracy. At the same time, you're supposed to be investigating these people, whether, especially like these rappers that you're putting in jail, you're investigating them. And the funny thing about, let's speak about rappers, because, you know, movie stars in Hollywood are upper echelon. So just like with the pillars of the community in my town, these are people that are not going to be arrested because it don't make them, it don't give them street cred. So that's not going to be their role. But these rappers who get street cred from being arrested, shot, and things of that nature, you know, they are making music and they try to act like they're fighting for me. And the reason why they talking, how they talking in music is coded messages for me. And if I go down, they go down. If they go down, I go down. But, you know, I'm not guilty by association with these guys. I don't know any of them. So it's kind of like they saying after police, the government, like Ice Cube, you know, when I was first put on this medicine, I didn't know I was on the medicine. Ice Cube come up with a song saying Bush runs shit like Saddam Hussein. That's what Ice Cube saying in the song, you know, back in Bush when I was first put on this medicine. Then I end up in a mental institution after that. And mind you, I don't know what's going on when Ice Cube said that. I end up in a mental institution, and they asked what was going on. And this is what I told them. And they made me have seizures to try to stop from saying it. But I still got it out. And my mother was there, you know, and she saw what they did to me when they made me have a seizure. The judge, everyone.
How did they, excuse me, I'm just going to grab my phone so that I have so that I can keep track of what time it is, so that we can make sure that we can get this on your, all that flash drive and that before you have to leave.
Yeah, my family was there. They made me have a seizure.
How did they make you have a seizure? Like, what happened?
This medicine. That's what I said. It's medicine.
Okay, so it was, but you were on the medicine already, and then in that moment, it happened.
And see, that's what people are afraid of, but I'll tell you this story. They made me have a seizure, and they asked the magistrate asked, why was I here in the hospital? I said, because I thought I thought the mafia was trying to kill me, and George Bush was trying to save me. And that's what I thought. At the time, I really thought that. Not until years later, I realized that the mafia and George Bush are one and the same. And they made me have a seizure. And I even mentioned T.I. too when I got to Eastern State, and they asked me the same question, why are you here? And I said, I brought up T.I. and they made me have a seizure. And I had an old boss man that told me that, the way people communicate indirectly and use reference points. And he said the reason why your family hasn't done anything to get you off this medicine, or not trying to get you off this medicine, because they said that if they try to, then they're gonna kill me. And like T.I. said in the song, you think the power's in the gun, but overall it's in the heart. Like, if these people wanted to, they can press a button anytime and do what the doctor told me.
Is that what you think?
Yeah, that's the reality. Like what Dr. Patel said, we'll blow your heart right out your chest. They can kill me any day they want. They can kill me. So.
Is that why you keep going and getting the shots every 2 weeks?
No, I go get the shots because, I have hope, that things will work out peacefully. Well, I had hope that things would work out peacefully, and I don't want to get sicker, by not getting the shots, because I stopped the cold turkey before for 7 months, and when they finally court ordered to give it to me, they gave me an injection of it in the form of Haldol, and it messed my eyes up.
Yeah. No, you told me that.
And so, and just I say a month and a half ago, I tried to switch to pill form because this medicine is not the same Risperidol I took previously in the early 2000s, like 2008. And this medicine is making me sicker. Like, I go to see an ENT January 7th because, my thyroid seemed like it's swollen. I got mucus drainage from not eating, things of that nature. So I tried to switch to the pills and see if that would stop. And they gave me the pills, and the pills made me sicker. It caused my kidney to swell, and I have kidney issues now.
Yeah.
And I go to the doctor every 2 weeks because. Not because I want to take the medicine. And just yesterday when I talked to my doctor, I was like, despite my circumstances, I still think you're a good person, and you're a good doctor, despite my circumstances. That's what I told him yesterday, and I do really feel that way,
You feel like he's doing the best he can to take care of you.
Yeah, like he actually has the compassion, when before COVID and I go in his office, like he has compassion. He feels sorry for me. And, his eyes would be red and things like, and he was pleasant. And I think that's partly the reason why he retired, because he didn't want to be a part of this anymore with what they're doing to me. And that's why I think he retired, but yeah, like, like my boss man said, he was like, your family only going along with this because they're and like shit. I was at the bus stop, and the dude said something about them killing your whole family, and that's why they're falling in line. And then John Singleton, who was the lawyer when I was in court in 2014, he intimidated my mom in the courtroom, and the judge spoke up for his whole behavior throughout the whole trial, and was like, come on, quit playing. Don't act like we don't know what this is. And I reached out to John Singleton last week because John Singleton is also a movie director. You heard of that, John Singleton? He's a black guy.
Okay, yeah,
And
like the name is familiar, but
yeah, he's a black movie director, and he passed away. But anyway, allegedly he passed away. That could be a reference point to this situation. The movie director passed away. But anyway, he made a movie called Boys in the Hood, and Young Jeezy was in a music group called Boys in the Hood. And Jeezy said something about he's worth a meal on the low. Plus, the weatherman said that it's a slight chance of snow. Like Jeezy making all these references to the sky, and weather. Like when he said, "Look up to the sky, tell me what you see the clouds." No, not me. I'm an opportunist. You heard what I said. I'm an opportunist. That's what Jeezy said in the song. And how do you see how that play a role into current times when he say that? And it's before climate change, before the medicine. So,
like, I'm an artist. I could see going lots of different directions with that.
Yeah. Like,
Clearly you've got something that's a way that it strikes you.
Yeah, like, how are you familiar? Are you familiar with Young Jeezy? Jay Jenkins?
I know Jay Jenkins is Jeezy, but I haven't listened to a lot of his music. You had mentioned him a couple of times, and so after a session, I'm like, let me just look up and see who this is. So,
and this is the same guy. It's kind of like I saw something where activist was saying, he was like, Jesse Jackson, the Jesse Jacksons, the Al Sharptons, who mostly are Democrat, they have been replaced. The black activist has been replaced by the black celebrity. Like how they kind of herd black people into a box, into black culture and things of that nature. He said now the Dems and the politicians are using celebrities, black celebrities, how they was using these activists, as far as like ambassadors to the community.
Right.
But they're using people like Jay-Z. Who is Jay-Z? Ex-drug dealer. Young Jeezy, ex-drug dealer. Rick Ross, ex-drug dealer. Possibly some of them are still drug dealers. Who knows? I don't know. But these people are going to the White House. So what kind of example is that setting? Why not, because of their influence in the black community. The influence of the black community is why they're being used. But they're just puppets, and they are eating it up. Like these black elite are eating the love they're getting from the white elite. Like the white elite are giving the black elite
attention, and
they're eating it up at my expense. And I don't like that. I feel like it shouldn't be a thing of where it should boil down to the color of your skin, because out the womb we are all created equal. And it's society that changes that. It's education that put finances that dampen that. But out the womb, if you was to go to a hospital and adopt a black baby and adopt a white baby, and you're education, and you're educated yourself, and you got wealth yourself, then the black kid can easily be taught to be smarter than the white kid, vice versa. But statistically, whites are better educated than blacks. Not that they're more intelligent, not that there is a more intelligent race, but
they have access to better education.
Yeah, and that's just a fact. It ain't, but our representation that we have, it's got us drinking out of poison well. Black people look up to athletes and rappers, and they're not people you should be looking up to, and not that you shouldn't. You should have alternatives
Yeah.
to just those ones.
Right. There's a lot. There are black scientists and black.
It should be all those things,
Scholars and.
So, but it's like it's a way out, of a systemic system, and even like when you look at football games, basketball games, rap concerts, they're not entertaining black people at their concerts or games. And this is not it's not racist. It's something that's statistically true.
You're just an observation, right?
If you look in the crowd, it's about 90% white people that are entertaining. And it's kind of reality shows, Love and Hip Hop, same thing. Like, it's like, they tell us who we are as a black race, and we go out here and be it after they tell us that's what we are. And how they tell us what we are is through our leaders and representation in the black ambassadors and the black elite,
So we've got about five more minutes, so I don't know whether you want to wrap up the recording and get that transferred, or if there's another point you want to make real quick.
Yeah, we can wrap it up.
Okay, Ned, so do you have a thumb drive or something that you want me to put this on?
Yes.
Because that would be